3DO.
A few years after the fall of Brigadoon, a knight named Rion Griffonheart gave rise to a new kingdom known as Erathia. Rion Griffonheart eventually met Tarnum, the barbarian responsible for Brigadoon's fall, in battle and killed him. Tarnum's soul entered the Hall of Judgment, where three barbarian gods known as the Ancestors would decide his fate. His dead body, however, was used for a purpose far more sinister. In the continent of Enroth, there was yet another empire that fell in almost the same manner. A necromancer called Archon, commonly known as the Lich King, was ruling most of Enroth, with only a small tract of land being kept by a band of rebellious Enrothian knights, led by the late king's eldest daughter, Elizabeth. At first, it seems that the Lich King could have quelled this rebellion rather easily. However, a treacherous cult of necromancers sided with the queen just when the battle was dire, and ensured the Lich King's demise. Elizabeth, the new queen of Enroth, casted an abolishment spell on Archon, and he was cast out to Antagarich. Antagarich was a place where the undead were only part of children's stories at that time. Archon was fortunate enough to have saved his cloak of the undead king, a powerful artifact that ensured his authority over the dead. After a while, he heard tales of Tarnum, the barbarian king who overthrew an entire empire, and was intrigued by his story. He hatched a sinister plan: to reanimate Tarnum's body as a Death Knight and use his strength to help him return to Enroth triumphantly. He found Tarnum's grave and sacrificed his own power and cloak to reanimate him to life. The Lich King was weakened by the process, but promised Tarnum to make him his successor once the throne of Enroth was his again. With his newfound powers, Tarnum started harvesting an army of the undead from the neighboring barbarian tribes, his former fellow countrymen. His army was bolstered by the addition of yet another Death Knight, Lamentia, whose origin remained a mystery to Tarnum, but her prowess in battle was unmatched by any of his underlings. Harvesting wasn't the only reason they pillaged the barbarian tribes. The Lich King's mind was drawn by a higher power that rested in that rocky terrain. He often spoke to Tarnum about the long-forgotten power, the power of the Ancients, and how they could use that power to restore his own diminishing ones. The Ancients were a technologically advanced race from before the Silence, who saved the planet of Enroth, amongst others. The Ancients were worshipped as gods when the world of Enroth was young, and there were still some shrines and temples left that were centuries old even when Tarnum was still alive. It was said that whoever could harness their power and technological advancements would become unstoppable. It was this power that the Lich King was going after. The first ancient shrine that Tarnum encountered was the Dragon Factory. Tarnum destroyed the metallic dragon guards and claimed one for his own army. After taking everything he needed, he destroyed the factory so that no one could take advantage of the secrets that lay within. In the Dragon Factory there was a map of a temple of the Ancients, which lay in a sea of fire near an Erathian port. Tarnum and Lamentia followed the map and tracked down the temple. The seas surrounding it were plundered by a pirate named Sala, but his pirates were no match for Tarnum's undead minions. The ancient temple was guarded by great crustacean beasts, with razor-sharp steel claws and legs, known as reavers. These monsters were part beast and part machine, but Tarnum managed to overcome them and desecrate the temple. The Lich King grew stronger every day, and decided the three of them were ready to visit the Desolate Lands, the last resting place of the ancient shrines. As the campaign progressed, Tarnum grew weary of it. His mind and corrupted soul were bound only on claiming revenge of his killer, the new king of Erathia. It was in the Desolate Lands, a barren wasteland of rock and sand, that Tarnum found a way to topple the Lich King's power and claim his army for his own. In the meantime, Lamentia's true identity was revealed. She was Yala, Tarnum's love interest back when he was still alive. The fact that she was reanimated as an undead corpse alongside Tarnum was taken by both of them as a sign that they were bound together by fate, and now she swore her allegiance to Tarnum alone. Once the last shrine of the ancients was found and desecrated, the Lich King was fully revived and his full strength gathered. The only way that Tarnum could overthrow him was to augment his power with a new finding, an ancient necropolis of another world. The resting place of this necropolis was found in one of the shrines of the Desolate Lands. Tarnum proclaimed that he sought out its power to gift it to the Lich King, but as soon as it was in his grasp, he betrayed Archon and took over his army. Tarnum soon found out that his powers over the undead were failing him. After interrogating Archon, he found out that he would never be king of the undead without the Lich King's cloak. Tarnum decided to split his armies in two. Lamendia would invade the Erathian borders and make preparations for a full-scale invasion, while Tarnum would search in the fallen empire of Bragadun for the artifacts that can form a new cloak of the undead. Tarnum managed to claim the 3 artifacts needed from the dead hands of 3 powerful wizards that were sworn to protect them. Once Tarnum had the cloak, a soothsayer crept into his camp and warned him that if he would meet Ryan Griffonheart in battle once more, they will both destroy each other. Tarnum disregarded that prophecy, as he felt that with the power of the cloak of the undead king, he would become unstoppable. However, that was not the end for Ryan Griffonheart, as Erathian and barbarian armies rallied forth to meet Lamendia's forces before Tarnum could reach her. They managed to break the lines of his bannermen and destroy most of his striking force. They even destroyed and burned down Lamendia's body, giving an end to her misery. Still, Tarnum had the cloak now, and it was easy for him to master a new army out of thin air and proceed with the attack on his own. The soothsayer's prophetic words were now ringing in his ears, but it didn't matter to Tarnum, as his thirst for vengeance could not be stilled in any other way. Eventually, the two of them met indeed in the field. Ran Griffonheart was mortally wounded, but managed to give a final blow to Tarnum that destroyed his cloak and with it his animated corpse as well. Ryan Griffonheart was dead. Tarnum's undead corpse was destroyed, and the ancestors finally reached their verdict. They deemed Tarnum unworthy of entering paradise. Instead, he would roam the earth as the immortal hero, seeking redemption for his endless crimes through acts of kindness and compassion. As a token of the ancestors' mercy, Tarnum had no recollection of the atrocities he committed as the undead king, and the wretched part of his soul responsible for these vile acts was buried alongside with his former body in the Hall of the Ancestors. Thank you for watching. If you like this video, make sure you subscribe on this channel and leave a comment below to let me know what other parts of Heroes 3 lore you would like to be explored next. Cheers!